everyone, I'm Manny Singh. I'm the CEO of Bobble Digital and welcome to Bobble Pod. I am joined today by Callum, our producer. Give us a big wave. He's not on camera, but he's here.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And we've got Josh, who's the man behind the camera and has been the man behind the camera for the previous 2 seasons. So if you watched our trail introduction, you know that we've got a new format of Bobble Pod. It's just myself moving forward, but we've got some exciting news and updates coming through. And before I start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us across all the main podcast channels and on our YouTube channel to watch the vodcast. So a lot's been happening since we last did an episode and series of Bobble Pod. Before, we were doing a lot of things around the what, why, how of different digital channel topics and giving insights and trends. Myself and Notion Claire, as you know, previously went through a number of things and we got some great feedback from that. But the landscape of digital marketing in the last 6 months has changed quite a bit. We've been a bit quiet on the Bobble Pod as we've been reassessing everything. And a lot's happened since we've been away. So this first episode is all about what the hell has been going on since we last did an episode. So the first one is, well, Facebook isn't Facebook anymore. It's Meta, which, if I'm first and honest, is really confusing because anyone who works in digital marketing and works with what used to be called Facebook Business Manager, and I still Google in Facebook Business Manager to get to the platform sometimes, even though I have the bookmark. It's now Meta Business Suite. And that's because, Mark Zuckerberg came out and announced that, basically Facebook, the company that owns Facebook is still the same product, is now Meta because he's betting big on the metaverse. Now, I don't know what anyone else's opinion is on the metaverse, but I am one for it. I think it is the future. I think there is a lot of opportunities, not just from a marketing perspective, but from a business perspective, and a lot of opportunities to create new technology, new ways of doing things, new ways of communicating. So I always like to look at the positives of new platforms that are coming out. However, since the introduction of Meta, it's not really done a lot for Facebook shares. Just got some stats here that, actually Zuckerberg got a bit of a reality check with declining user numbers and record losses. This came from eMarketer. It says Facebook owner Meta's stock price catered up to 26%, erasing close to 230 billion in value. The loss could rank as the biggest collapse in US stock market history, but we don't really talk about that at this stage. But just coming back to Meta and Metaverse and the whole element and the future of it, is there a space for it? Yes, because Metaverse in itself, there's a story by Goldman Sachs that says it's potentially an $8 trillion platform. And right now, the market cap for like crypto and the blockchains behind it, I've been doing my own research into it. I'm actually working on something called Bobbleverse. Bobble will be the next Virgin, maybe. You never know. If you see me as Sir Richard Branson in the future at some point, you never know. But I do love Bobble. I like branding Bobble with everything that I do. So Goldman Sachs came out with an article that, there's an $8 trillion potential valuation of what the metaverse could be. And the current market cap to like all the cryptocurrencies and blockchain is around about, I think 240 billion maybe. And you're looking at a potential increase of 333%. So these are top line stats from the stuff I've been reading online. You can actually type in, Goldman Sachs 8 trillion valuation metaverse into Google, or just type in Goldman Sachs 8 trillion and you will see that story come up. And when banks and investment banks like that are getting involved and talking about the potential value of it, it shows that you can't not talk about the future of it and what it means. So I'll be very surprised if we're still doing podcasts in, let's say, 2-3 years, that actually we could launch our very first podcast in the Meta. That is essentially the reality of what Meta brings. What are your thoughts, Callum?
It's very interesting. It sounds interesting, but I'm still a bit, unsure. I'm one of those people who and still need to do my homework on it a bit more before I actually, you know, I want to get my understanding, if you know what I mean. So get all the information, get everything, you know, verified and checked. I'm one of these very cautious people that I like to know what I'm reading is fully fact checked and corrected and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit, yeah. Well,
it's I guess the word is skeptical. Sorry if I'm saying that right. We're doing this in one take, so if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. At least you know we're human behind the podcast. Yes. But yeah, no, I get it. I think it's lack of education. So one thing I think we're definitely going to do is talk about as a future topic is what is meta, what is crypto, what is blockchain, what does it mean from a digital marketing perspective?
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. You know, Facebook as a platform is changing. There's a lot being introduced. You see news of celebrities jumping onto NFTs, and you know, people like Snoop Dogg introducing weed into the metaverse, and it's like what the hell is even that, and how does that even work? Because Snoop Dogg actually owns, I think he's invested in some kind of company in that form. So what I don't think is it a cannabis oil company or something. So he's introducing, and I guarantee you he will make millions of dollars from it. And that is the opportunity for businesses. If businesses have physical products or even services, what they should do is not start focusing solely on meta, but have one eye on the future. Have a look at what is important right now, but have one eye on the future. And the future is meta. And the way we communicate now, since the pandemic, Teams, Zoom calls, videos, the fact that when we were doing our podcasts, we started doing them before lockdown. We started to do them online on Zoom on lockdown. Live elements, you go onto TikTok and Reels on Instagram, you go on YouTube. Most of the content is very, you know, podcast, vodcasty focus, where essentially it's this. Someone on a camera, a producer, a videographer, giving their insights, having a human conversation like you are in the room right now. And that is the whole focus of what we're taking, you know, Bobble Pod to be able to have actual conversations, hot topics, what's really important, what you should be doing, but with an educational focus. And meta is going to be a key element of that. It's still early phases, and you're right, Callum. There's a lot of education, a lot of insight that needs to be doing, and that'll only start coming as more companies start doing blogs, articles, videos on there. But you'll be surprised by how much content there actually is on metaverse and blockchain and all these wider elements that impact what the future is.
Is there anything that you would recommend at the minute in terms of that reading? So for somebody like me, who's probably not had a lot of time to do that reading up, is there anything specific that you would say go and look at online at the moment?
Put me on the spot there, but yeah, I would start looking at I'd actually set up like a metaverse account and actually start exploring in the metaverse. I actually investing into, you know, the Oculus and the elements, because that's essentially what meta is. It's a virtual world. So it's looking into, you know, that, you know, element of meta. What does it mean? Start playing with it. Start, you know, having fun with it, you know, see what it, explore it. It's going to be a learning curve, but honestly, your biggest platforms for news, and it sounds obvious, is going to be YouTube and Google. And there's a few, and I will try to share some links at the end, but there are a few really good social profiles out there across Instagram and TikTok that are really, really good that I follow, that provide a lot of elements. But I also follow stuff into like NFT, blockchain, crypto as well. So I'm quite involved into that as an individual. I'm actually investing quite a bit into crypto, blockchain, and actually, and you know, this is going to do with Bobble Digital or Bobble Pod, but we're launching our own NFTs in the next 9 to 12 months, but doing something different to what Bored Ape Club and everyone else has done. So yeah, I'm not going to say I'm an expert when it comes to metaverse or, you know, blockchain or NFTs or cryptocurrency, but I'm surrounding myself with people that are discussing that conversation. And that's the thing, it's being on the online discussion boards where they're discussing metaverse where they're discussing. So if I was to type in, let's say, the future of Meta right now, which is where I actually got that stat from about the valuation of Facebook and it kind of having a bit of a hindrance, is there's just so much news out there coming from New York Times through to Business Insider, etc., The Verge. So there's a lot of stories out there. So it was eMarketer where I got that stat from earlier.
Interesting. No, well, it's good to know there's reputable. That was my concern, is what's a reputable source to be able to, look at that and get that knowledge and understanding.
The word reputable is hard because someone can go onto our website and we've got a lot of blogs on our website, and are we a reputable source? I would say we are, but we're not the Drum. We're not Marketing Weekly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? We're not Prolific North, where if a blog featured on there, it's going to have a higher domain authority and, it's going to give you more consideration. However, we are digital marketing experts. We are an award-winning digital marketing agency. I'll just get that in for 2 years in a row. And so it does have merit to what we do. So that doesn't mean that it all depends on what you search and what you're searching for. The broader search terms will get you probably more, better reputable websites that come up. The more niche or long tail, questions that you ask into Google will get you websites that you've probably not heard of. But I guarantee you a lot of people have engaged with that content. So I did we did two blogs back to back about the impact of AI in the workplace and businesses, and then what does that mean for digital marketing. So we talked about artificial intelligence and automation. What is it and what does it mean? There's a blog on our website. And then the second blog was like, well, actually, that's a good generic topic, but what does that even mean for digital marketing in the future? So there's two blogs on there. So, and when we've got stuff like lead forensics on our website, we've got Google Analytics, so we know actually those blogs get a lot of traffic. We know the blogs that we do about the impact of, influencers and Gen Z gets a lot of traffic. We see a lot of people from universities, a lot of students are, capturing our data and quoting us probably in their assignments and stuff. So reputable is a different way. It's just about making sure that when you're reading an article, there's links to where they're getting their stats and information. It's like you said, making sure that it's all fact checked. So when you're on a blog and article, again, this is not what we're going to talk about today, but a little bit of tips and advices. If you're reading a blog and article, have a look at, where that date, are they actually referencing the figures, the facts, statistics? Are they putting links to other websites on there? That's when someone's done their research and put together a blog post. But then some don't. Some are like organic, because I see a lot of blogs from HubSpot. And HubSpot are great for, just talking about digital marketing and insights, but they do their own research and their own data. So just bear that in mind, that bigger companies will go out and do their own research data and put that out, but then other people reference that. So yeah, first one and the main one is Facebook becoming Meta. I actually did a funny poll, which actually got hundreds of responses on LinkedIn, was when they announced the name of Meta from Facebook, just to poke fun, which was like, hands up if you basically know or care that the new name of Facebook is now Meta. And it was like, don't know what it is, don't care. And the other one was Jonathan. And in brackets, if anyone's seen Paul Rudd when he's doing Ant-Man, and he talks about Thor's hammer. He's like, what his name's of Thor hammers? And it's Jonathan. I did a little joke in there, and a few people that were like Marvel fans jumped in on that one. It was quite funny. So it means nothing that they've just called themselves Meta, but Metaverse is going to be a platform in which you can explore and start investigating. And right now, I say is start doing some research on it, start doing some blogs on it. And what we will do on Bobble Pod is we'll try and get some guests together, and we will start doing a discussion about, what is metaverse and what does it mean. I think the idea of the metaverse came from Steven Spielberg's film of Ready Player One. So if anyone didn't hear the question, Josh on our camera was talking about, when he thinks metaverse, he thinks Ready Player One. And it's right, because essentially that's what it is. It's basically when that film came out and launched, everyone was like, actually, we have the technology to do this now. this isn't something we need to create for a fictional film. It's something that we can actually do. And you can go into meta. You've got stuff like Minecraft, which essentially is kind of like a very pixelated basic version of a meta world with basic building blocks and stuff. But, you know, the fundamentals and the foundations are already there to create a real life version of Ready Player One. In terms of that level of graphics, okay, we need to improve the infrastructure, but it's like improving the infrastructure for, you know, to allow for everyone to have electric cars. We could have electric cars. The only thing that was stopping people from having electric cars was the fact that actually we need more charging points, the impact it's going to have on source and energy. Ready Player One is a reality. It can be done, and it's already there. And that's what metaverse is all about. But when you think about what is NFTs and all this kind of stuff, when you're watching a film Ready Player One and he wins all that coin, that is going to be your digital cryptocurrency in which you trade in the places like metaverse. And when he buys all those materials, some which come in the real world and some which he uses within Ready Player One, that is essentially what an NFT is. It's when you're gaming and you buy a skin for a game, or you go into FIFA and you buy a pack. That is essentially an NFT. Basically, you saying, I want to buy this, I want to own this, and I want to use this kit when I'm playing this, you know, ultimate, you know, team on FIFA, or when I'm, you know, playing Call of Duty, I want to use this skin. And you can only use that skin if you pay and you own it. The difference is in games, multiple people can do it. The difference with NFTs, only one person can own it. So it becomes more valuable and rare. So yeah, will we get sucked into that universe? I think we already are. Just look at the noise and chatter around, you know, metaverse. Look at Facebook talking about, you know, how metaverse is the future. So it's not a case of will we, it's about when will we get sucked into that universe. And Callum, you said it earlier, you're a bit like skeptical about what it all is and what it all means, and you want to get some facts around it, but that doesn't mean that you never will. The decision you make in the future is going to be like, oh no, it's all BS. It's nothing. It's all hearsay. No. You're going to read into it and you're going to see other people get involved into it, and you're going to jump on the bandwagon. Just saying everyone jumped on the bandwagon with TikTok, Instagram, Facebook when it first launched, MySpace died because it never stayed up with the times. But every time something new comes out, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. And it's us as a community, it's us as a people that decide the longevity and whether that thing is going to stay or go. And based on the reaction and what I see from people and how they talk about it in all facets, and when the CEO of Facebook comes out and says, this is the future and we're renaming our company to Meta, you have to take it seriously. It's not going anywhere. Will the real world get neglected because of Meta? I think no, because in the Western world, and we call the Western, the more developed world, potentially, as we get distracted, we're distracted by our mobile phones now. Even before we came to the meeting, how much time was I spending on my mobile, checking things? I got my laptop in front of me. I'd probably say, you know, some of my time is spent in a world that doesn't really exist, is all digital online. But that's because we adapt to new technology, and metaverse is essentially a form of new technology. So I think in the more developed world, yes, but the undeveloped world, no, because when you go to more deprived areas and third world countries, they're still trying to get up to speed with the ideas of, you know, accessories to like computers and Wi-Fi internet connection and better resources to the basics of, you know, human standards of living. And it's shocking, and it shouldn't be the case in the world. And together as a people, we need to be doing more. But I think no, not in our lifespan, potentially in, you know, 50 years on. But I hope that people see this as an advancement of technology to explore more, which is why most people aren't a fan of Elon, but I am, because of what he's doing with SpaceX. And we'll talk about Elon in a bit with what he did with Twitter. But, you know, I am a fan of Elon, what he's doing with SpaceX and space exploration, and essentially having that technology and improving our, you know, foundational technology places is only going to improve what we do as a people. So yes and no. I think the more developed world will get more sucked into it and start neglecting everyday stuff. But I don't think that will be the norm. I think there will be a case of a life outside of metaverse. But we're not talking about impacts of this for, like, you know, it'd be my kids when they get to my age. I'm 33. You know, I think when my kids get to my age, will that become a serious topic of discussion Are we neglecting the real world for a virtual world? The second element I want to talk about since the last podcast, and quickly, is Elon Musk buying Twitter. Fair play to him. And it's actually not really cost him anything because he upfronted his Tesla shares and got collateral. Actually, Elon Musk has bought Twitter for pretty much free. It's because if he was to buy it out with cash, he's actually borrowed cash from other people who's upfront it, and he's used his Tesla shares as his guarantee. But Elon Musk buying Twitter, is it good or bad? I don't know the actual answer to that at this stage. But there is a lot of information out there right now about it. I think it's going to be good and bad because he's introducing potentially a pricing model for it. So will that impact the number of users within the platform? I'm not too sure. But I think generally it'll be good because the platform is seeming to have a little bit more relevance now. He's brought the platform back into the forefront, and Twitter is completely different to, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat. Speaking of Snapchat, I think that's going to die very soon. I know there's a certain generation that uses it, but if I go on Snapchat right now compared to, let's say, a few years ago where I would see 80, 90 of my friends putting stories on, there's probably about less than 10. So everyone's transferring over to Instagram because it does the same thing and better. Same with TikTok. So that's just something to bear in mind. And if you're putting your money into Snapchat, start taking it out and putting it somewhere else where you're going to get better traction and better return on investment. No offense to Snapchat and someone from Snapchat that ever watches this. Don't kill the messenger. But I'd be interested to see their number of users and interactions on that. But yeah, Twitter for Elon Musk is going to be key. It's going to be important. I'd be interested to see what model he introduces from a pricing perspective and what impact that has on advertising and what does that mean. But I guess all we can do is wait to see what news comes out from that once he's actually fully taken over. We know he's put the offer in and he's agreed to buy it and the shareholders, so that will take some time. We'll have to wait to see what Elon tweets out, really, from the platform. So there are the main key things. I want to keep it quite short, 15, 20 minutes, these podcasts. A lot coming up in the future episodes. We're going to be talking about the future of Google and what does that mean across SEO and PPC over the next two episodes. We have a couple of guests lined up which will come out in the following weeks. Someone from a video background, Rashpal Sagoo from Box Media, agency owner here in Leeds, and also Gareth Healy, ex-CEO of Creative Race and owner of Beyond Noise, and launched a book which he will be discussing and giving his insight from an agency perspective in terms of what the marketplace is doing. So don't forget to follow, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, click that bell button so you get notifications of when our videos come out. If you're listening on any podcast platform, do subscribe and do listen to the future episodes that are coming out. But I hope the first episode in particular has been a nice little warm welcome back to Bobble Pod, and I look forward to delving into more detail and insights and education in the next few episodes.